You're running the company. Steve's there almost never. I've never heard anybody, a CEO, describe their job as your job is to observe and manage the dynamics. What do you mean by that?
Well, like in the case of, let's say the brain trust, just as an example, is that in general it works pretty well. Every once in a while you go off the rails. If you go off the rails, and then you have to figure out why I went off the rails, what got in the way, and then usually you have to reconvene with a smaller group because the dynamics, as we all know, are different when you've got a small group. If things are going well, you like a bigger group because you're training other people to feel comfortable in this way of working. But if the problem is really serious, when you go to a small group where they're sort of past that stuff and they can focus on the problem. So occasionally it's off the rails, usually it works very well, and once or twice per film, then magic happens. By magic, I mean that ego has left the room. You have these intense discussions, and somebody can say something and it doesn't work, and they're not thinking about my idea wasn't there. They're always back on the problem. And it's described in sports as flow, or in areas like that as flow, but it's like a group getting into that state. And that's the ideal place to get. This is so important to get all this working right, that this is what our product's based upon, is this group of people working well together. So paying attention to the dynamics of those rooms is the job. They're the ones that are making the movies. I'm not making the movie. I'm just trying to make sure they work well together. From the point of view of directing a company, like a board of directors, is how do they work together? And sometimes board of directors are there and the CEO just wants sort of protection from them doing it. So he wants to craft everything that goes to the board of directors. It's not the way Steve worked.
What is the way he did it?
Well, it was just like we knew what the problems were. We'd come in and you'd have these people with very strong opinions. Well, we had the number one attorney from Silicon Valley with Larry Sonsini at the time.
Apart from who was on the board, how did Steve manage the board differently than other CEOs?
We had a few of the critical issues out of the company. We were a production-only company. All of our films were marketed through Disney. So, and there was a limited time span in our contract with Disney. So there are a number of things we have to do to figure out where the company is going, what the relationship is, how we make it strong, or where is it threatened. And at the time, through a lot of this time, Michael Eisner was the CEO, and the CEO of Disney, Michael Eisner, did not get along well with Steve.
Steve hated him.
The real reason for that, well, there were two things there. One of them was that Michael testified before Congress about ripping, because there was some testimony about it with audio. Yeah.
What's ripping?
Copying video onto if you got a audio on a CD or something like that, and you transfer it onto your computer. So there are these. It's a name for copying something.
Okay. But
it sounds like ripping off. So there's which is unfortunate use of the term. So Michael Eisner was testifying against without knowing what the term actually meant. So it was upsetting to Steve.
Why was that upsetting to Steve?
Well, it's a congressional thing about the technology and how it's being used. Only now Congress is getting misinformation. But the other one was that our contract with Disney, an initial contract, was to make 3 movies. And at the time it was signed, Disney perceived that Pixar was going to produce boutique films, their word, much as they would consider A Nightmare Before Christmas, a stop-motion animated film, to be boutique.
And therefore not bring in that much money at the box office.
That's right. In other words, they were going to spend a lot on it, And they thought, well, that short film wouldn't scale up to be feature-length film. I mean, you couldn't really watch that computer graphic stuff for that long of a period of time. But it's like stop motion, a little quirky.
So that's what they went into the first deal with, thinking,
That's what they were thinking.
limited potential here, not knowing that Toy Story is going to come out, win all these awards, and be the highest grossing film of the year.
That's right. So that was a leap because it was unlike the things that they've been doing.
So Steve thought Eisner gave him a bad deal.
It was not a very good deal. So Steve walked away feeling like it was one of the worst deals he's ever